Hello, 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 people of the internet. Ian Altosaar, the Freedom Astrologer, once again here and recording another one of my astrological videos. And this time we're going into a bit of a deep one. It's going to probably be a little bit of a longer one as well, so kind of brace yourself for it. And it's also a continuation of let's say, a video I did a while back. It was called something along the lines of Scorpio in the first house, Scorpio Ascendant, or Pluto in the first house, living with constant rebirth in your life. Now, I mentioned the big topic in that video and what it means to have that configuration, Pluto in the first house, Scorpio in the first house. Or in this video, I'm going to also bring in and mention that the Scorpio Stellium. So we're going to talk about each of these and in all of these in a way, and a lot of these, let's put it that way. But it's a continuation of that video, and I'm going to do my best to bring in more of these themes, of these Scorpionic, Plutonic themes in the first house. A little less to do with that Scorpio Stellium that I'm going to show you in a little bit as well. But it's going to be a bit of a transformational, deeper, maybe at times difficult video as well. So let's jump into it now that we know what we're going to talk about. We kind of set the ground rules, and I'm going to show you the configurations here on the chart that we're going to talk about. So for those of you who don't know, the ascendant or the first house is one of the most important ones we have, one of the most important influences we have in the birth chart, and it's a lot to do with our identity, our general life path, a lot to do with who we perceive ourselves as well, and what we present to the world as well. Now, there is a thing that the seventh house is a lot of what we also present to the public, but let's keep it in. So you're going to hear, when astrologers speak, you're going to maybe hear that kind of put out there as well. But let's focus on the first house in this video mostly. Identity, who we identify ourselves with, our general life path. Yeah, so those are the it's a lot to do with also how we present ourselves, but also internally how we see ourselves as well. So it's kind of both worlds come into play here, because the identifying ourselves with is important, because we take something usually from our experiences, early childhood, and we start to identify ourselves with those prominent themes. So whatever is in the first house as well, there's most likely a lot of experiences throughout life, not only in early childhood, but early childhood environment as well. Now, having said that, the fourth house is the most prominent kind of significator of the early childhood environment, or the moon. But my point is here that what we experience a lot during early childhood influences a huge chunk of our lives. So this is the first house, a huge part of who we are, who we identify ourselves with. So you can see actually a lot of those themes, let's say from the first house, that kind of played out with the parents, with the grandparents, because it is one of the houses of the grandparents as well. So these people all influence us quite significantly. So this is the gist of the first house. Now you can see here in my example, most of you know the Scorpio symbol already, so I'm not going to focus on that too much. And you can also see the ascendant sign. I think I mentioned number 1, the first house, all pretty clear. Now the The other part I wanted to really mention is the stellium part. Here we have stellium in astrology is when we have 3 or more planets in one sign or one house. And this is, in this case, we're going to talk about the Scorpio stellium. And I also wanted to show you Pluto in the first house. Why Pluto? Pluto is the modern ruler in astrology. We have traditional rulers, we have modern rulers. Pluto is the more modern ruler of the sign of Scorpio. The rulership means that it kind of represents that sign. So it also means that the planet Pluto has the same qualities like the sign of Scorpio. These are very similar. So when we put Pluto in the first house, or very close to the ascendant, or we put Scorpio on the ascendant and the stellium, for example, these are kind of, they start to speak a similar story. And let's talk a little bit about the Scorpio, and then let's start to combine all of these together. Now, Scorpio is one of the toughest signs, toughest incarnations to be born with on this planet. So the first house, Scorpio, isn't always the easiest one to be born here with. It already kind of indicates that during this lifetime, this person is going to experience a lot of kind of traumatic, hard, deep, transformational experiences. And now it's kind of like the decision, or the free will, or part of the life of this person to kind of decide, do I want to go to the dark side of, let's say, Scorpio? Do I want to go to the more lighter side, to a more deeper side, to the more transformational side of Scorpio? Now, this is a huge part of this Scorpionic energy anyway, but when we're talking about first house Pluto, first house Scorpio, it is a lot to do with, especially during early, first part of life, experiencing those woundings, maybe harder experiences in life, maybe, breakups, death, a lot of death usually around this person. And also these tougher, traumatic, very much traumatic experience leave an imprint on this person. Now, this is why I mentioned the kind of decision, the free will part, like what do I want to do with these pains, wounds, and kind of hurts? Do I want to transform these, or do I want to go to the more darker side of Scorpio, which is, control, which is abuse? Very much Scorpio is to do with abuse. So unfortunately, these people, especially in early parts of their lives, might have also experienced abuse, emotional, physical. There's a psychological even. These people have usually experienced the extremes of what this earthly life has to offer us, more so than the next one, than the kind of like, let's say, average person who maybe doesn't have Scorpio in the first house or Pluto in the first house. Now, these extremes, these experiences of the extremes, again, like I said already, I think multiple times, these present themselves a choice. Within them, there's a choice or an opportunity to either grow, to either transform these and start teaching and helping others through your transformational experiences. The phoenix, the kind of your identity gets burnt down. Your identity of who you thought you gets burnt down, and now you have to be reborn. This is a very Scorpionic in Scorpio in the first house, Pluto in the first house kind of trait. Constant rebirth, constant we can say constant trauma as well, but as I've experienced this a lot, it gets better throughout time and through time, and it kind of starts to transform when you start to make these decisions to kind of start going more deeper start looking at these things, start researching why you're hurt, why these things happen, why you've experienced these matters, then things start opening up, and the person starts to open themselves up to the lighter side, which is healing, these very much deep healing Scorpionic. Now, obviously, the negative side of this is abuse. Start abusing others, start controlling, start manipulating others. A lot of these people have experienced a lot of psychological control, manipulation during their life, from their parents, from people close to them, early childhood environment, very often as well. And then it again becomes a decision. Do I want to embody that? Do I want to start doing that to others? Or do I want to kind of shift that and start transforming myself in order to let go and burn and kind of feel through all of that pain, and then help others do the same who have gone through those traumatic experiences? This is one of the reasons why these people are found very often in kind of these transformative places of employment, let's say, psychologists, astrologers, people who help other people transform their inner wounds, deeper wounds, into something greater. But it does bring with itself, this kind of at times almost obsession with power, with deeper things, with trying to see deeper, trying to go deeper, and almost very much these people don't really like to be on the surface. So what do I mean by that is these people like to go deeper. These people like to be and even talk, and because it's such a huge influence, the first house in the Senate, it influences all areas of life, and even like in communication, which is usually the third house. But these people don't really like to chit chat that much. At times they or let's put it in another way a little bit. They can sniff out the bullshit. So it's when somebody starts to bullshit them, then they're totally disinterested. Usually they are drawn to more deeper topics, deeper things in general. This is what they kind of identify themselves with. This is what they kind of have made their life path as well. Again, we can talk about the other side of Scorpio, which is money, control, power, these even crime. Mobsters are also represented by the sign of Scorpio. So it can be those parts, these things as well. These people can be drawn to these areas as well. It depends a little on the ruler of the ascendant, but already this is an indication. So extremes. I think I need to discuss or talk about a little bit more about these extremes, because Scorpio is total extremes, and these people go through these extremes a lot, and this also makes them like these kind of power and powerlessness, strength, total strength, and total belief in their power, and then total weakness and not believing in themselves and not believing in their power. So these extremes are very, very common in their lives. So if you have this position and you see these extremes and you kind of constantly go through these fluctuations, it's kind of like a normal thing in your life, and you need to start to learn to kind of master these waves. So astrology is a good one to go deeper. Psychology, learning about things people do and why people do them. Obviously, every kind of tarot, tantra, these things are good things, areas to explore. Anything kind of deeper under the surface, esoteric, doing that sort of research, healing experiences. Meditation obviously is a good one to do as well, and to go towards. So very, very extremes. So this is one of the reasons why I'm saying this, is you need to learn to deal with this, because it's such a huge, it's not like a, you know, like a transit here and there that you maybe experience once in a while, or maybe even in like 28 years, like a Saturn cycle. No, this is who you are. This is your kind of life path. So there is a constant experiencing of these. The only thing that happens is when you get older, you usually start to understand this, and you start to learn to navigate this better, and start to understand these themes and extremes and these feelings and these transformations that you're constantly going through. You start to understand these a little bit better, a little bit deeper, and you start to learn to better navigate these extremes. Yeah, so I mentioned attracting death. I mentioned attracting transformations, also jealousy. But there is a tendency of these people kind of being in either, people are very much drawn to these people almost magnetically, especially if there's a Pluto also there in the first house. Or maybe, you know, a lot of Scorpio in the first house with a lot of planets. People are kind of magnetically drawn to them. This is one. And have this deep connection and feel this deep trust and deep connection with them. Or the other extreme, again, the other extreme is people are kind of almost afraid of their depth. So, and their power, because this is one of the more important things as well with this video. Because these people very often, because they have gone through these type of traumatic experiences and abuse and ups and downs and healings, and see death in a lot of ways, this is one of the reasons they have this kind of deep, even if they are maybe in the moment they are in a bit of a difficult space in their lives, even then they have this kind of deep power within them, this kind of, I would say, even intensity about them. And this, you know, can rub people the wrong way, because, you know, a lot of people, we can feel each other and we can feel what the other is about. And you know, that kind of intensity, that power, that kind of strength, actually, that deep strength actually can scare people away as well. So if you have this position, a lot of people might immediately kind of, you know, start to suspect you, start to kind of draw away from you. I've seen this happen a lot, like almost like an instant connection with a person, or like the other person literally pulls away because they're scared most often. Because it is, you know, remember what I've been saying, like deep, and wanting to go deeper, and wanting that deep connection, wanting that intensity, wanting that, and those extremes. These also allow the person to be quite the deeply experienced seer, or a feeler, or kind of like see through, like I mentioned, the bullshit, but to see through the veil that other people present themselves as. So this very often scares other people if they can, even if they can sniff that you have that capability, which with these configurations you usually do have that capability, or at least if it's kind of suppressed, even then it's somewhere deeper there within you. So remember, if somebody is there and they kind of like start to almost feel them reject you immediately, it's not always about you that you did something wrong. You know, maybe at times you can be a bit too intense, you know, with this Scorpionic thing. So, you know, keep an eye out on that, or with that. But very often it's because people start to get scared of you, scared of you seeing through their bullshit, through their masks, their veils that they put on their identity. So very, very important to kind of start mastering and be okay with having your life constantly be in a place of like, I don't know who I am. Like, this is one of the, like, what very often happens, like almost once a month, or maybe twice a month, or even once a year at times with this position, is like there is this intensity there, and you kind of like everything that kind of once was doesn't make sense anymore, and you kind of feel like the skin is almost peeling off you, and kind of peeling and peeling, but it's really hard to take off because you want to hold on. Remember, Scorpio is a fixed sign, so it's almost like you want to constantly hold on to that old, but the kind of higher side of Scorpio again is letting that fold, letting it go, letting that transformation go, letting that old identity of who you once were, letting it drop, letting the new person inside of you emerge, letting that new wisdom, new knowledge, new depth emerge. Once you start to allow themselves and not, or allow that to happen to you, and not kind of fight it so much, it's much easier to start to live with it. And I'm not saying it's ever going to be super easy, but it's at least let's say one step towards it as well. And what I also wanted to say, it's like being broken and being whole at the same time. You constantly go through life. Again, these extremes, remember these extremes with this position or these positions. It's like you feel like maybe when we're talking about healing or deeper healing, you maybe feel like even, I feel everything. I feel like I'm complete. And then again, a new layer comes off, and a new kind of transformational experience comes, and you kind of like, I feel like I'm broken again. But then again, you go through that transformation, which at times can move really quickly. Sometimes it can take longer. That's again with Scorpio energy. It's like I'm constantly transforming. I feel like something is bubbling. Then a crisis happens, and then I transform quite quickly. Or again, I can take a longer time as well. So these, again, it depends on very often how much you fight it there in these kind of lower areas. If you start to release these things here, the new being can emerge more quickly. So this is one of the reasons it can. Once you drop that, the cycle again kind of restarts or re-begins, because the first house is about new beginnings and initiating new things as well. Remember that, guys, as well. So it's all about letting that drop, letting those old identities drop, and then emerging from the darkness to the light as a new being. So being broken and being whole at the same time, learning to navigate that area as well, very, very important. Now suppression. I think I want to mention suppression with Scorpio always. Just take a little sip of water. These people actually can be master suppressors. They can suppress a lot of things, but again, like I said, the more you suppress, here, maybe in this upper place of the cycle, the more you suppress here, it kind of starts dragging you down. And once you're really down in the mud there, in the thick of it, in the pain, it kind of explodes. Kind of forces you to look at whatever it is that you're holding on to that is no longer serving you in your life, and then the transformation can start. This is one of the reasons also why I mentioned constantly like the letting go, and to learn to let go, and kind of start to just like, okay, I feel like I'm again in that constant transformational experience, and that ego death and kind of identity death. Instead of holding on, I need to take a maybe moment or two, a step back or two, to kind of reevaluate, reassess who I am, letting go of who I'm not actually, but I am kind of holding on because I want to be that person in my mind, and then starting to let go, and then the new person can emerge. But the thing is here, it's really easy to suppress with this energy, like Pluto, like we're talking about Pluto in the first house, Scorpio in the first house, Scorpio Stellium, a lot of Scorpio energy in general in your life. It's really easy to suppress things and kind of hide them under the surface and suppress them more. But the thing is that once it will explode again, and the transformational cycle, that the birth, the death and rebirth will commence, and you get to choose if you let go and allow your old self to die and new one to emerge. Because this is one of the reasons why it's so scary to let go of this. Is it's almost, you're not sure if a new identity, a new you will emerge from that transformational experience. It's scary to go into these areas, to go into this space, to kind of let yourself dissolve yourself, basically. Because we as humans, we as identities, we have these identities of who we are, and this is what we are speaking of, who we identify ourselves as. And this is very hard to let go for human beings, and especially for Scorpio and Pluto in the first house, because they like to hold on to things. And but the kind of gist of this is, the more they hold on, the more it hurts later on. So I know I'm laughing, but it's kind of like a good thing as well, because once you finally come through and come out of that transformation, the new you is the new improved you, the one who is more free, liberated, powerful, stronger, has more deeper inner strength, has more of these deeper capabilities to judge, to not negatively judge, but to assess situations, assess people, to see deeper, to go deeper, to be kind of prepared for everything life has to throw at you. And this is one of the placements for it, is to kind of be okay with everything life throws at you. So I think I got through everything I wanted. Mostly. It was a bit of a longer video this time, but I hope you got a lot of it. It was kind of like a heavier video. I know a lot of it is transformation and healing and trauma and kind of like pain and letting go. So go into deep spaces. Don't be afraid of your own identity deaths. Allow yourself to be reborn. Let go of nothing. Let go of things that don't serve you anymore, and become whole, become stronger, become more powerful, become prepared for everything that life has to give you in this lifetime. So thank you very much, guys, for listening, watching. Ian Altosaar, the Freedom Astrologer, out for now, and see you again soon in the next video.